Hi, welcome to Sunday Soul Food. I'm a little late starting today because my power isn't working out here, so I don't have any light. So I'm a little shadowy this morning, but here nonetheless. So I really wanted to dig into talking about our soul. The name of the show is Sunday Soul Food. I think that we all have an awareness of what we mean when we talk about a soul, the source part of our being. And in the belief system of Taya, we know that we have a duality in all things. The stream has taught us that. And the duality that resides within us is our source being, that eternal version of us, and our ego, that human consciousness, that physical consciousness that is a temporary experience that we acquire when we come into the earth environment as human beings, as more intelligent beings in our environment. We have this well developed, if not overdeveloped, ego consciousness. And that's what we call the matrix. The collective of that is the matrix. And we know that humanity has this concept of good and evil. Again, duality in all things, but we often identify good as source or God or love, you know, positive things, being up your spiral, high vibration. And we identify evil. Evil is the enemy of all of that. But really, we've learned from the stream's teachings, among others, that evil is not really the enemy of all of that. What we identify as evil is the absence of source. When we're not as allowing of source energy, meaning we're operating in a lower vibrational state, we are drowning out all of that positivity, all of that goodness, all of that hope, all of that expansive energy. And the purpose of acquiring an ego and doing that is to give us a platform from which to create new. Because if we are pure positive energy and we are pure expansion, we are pure creativity all the time, then we're not creating an opportunity to identify new things to grow with, to move through the experience of and become a more sophisticated version of ourselves. That's why we come to physical. That's why physical exists. Every physical thing, universally, but of course, here we are on planet Earth, so we're going to refer more to Earth. Everything in physical is here having that type of experience. It's here coming forth to discern preferences, to grow toward the light, to becoming more sophisticated, more resilient being. And that resiliency and that sophistication comes through the challenges that a physical environment delivers. Low vibration delivers those challenges, that creates those challenges for us. And somehow humanity, as a mutation of the environment, has identified those challenges as evil and labeled them as wrong and labeled them as should not be. And of course, we know what you focus upon with great passion or intensity, you are going to create to the expansion of. Well, what do we do as human beings when we label something evil or wrong or should not be with that type of intensity? We're feeding more of it. And that's why we see things that expand and grow in nature that are unwanted. There are things that we see, it seems like for a time, we just can't stop them. But notice that eventually we do solve everything. Every new problem or challenge that emerges ultimately gets solved. Yes, we're in the middle of solving many of them right now, and we're not through that process yet necessarily, but humanity ultimately solves every problem. The earth environment ultimately solves every problem and bounces back and comes back and regenerates bigger and better and stronger and more efficient, more resilient, and more sophisticated than ever until that next obstacle is created, which is also bigger and stronger and more sophisticated and more resilient in its opposition to what our desires are, so that we have a bigger challenge to solve for ourselves. So the matrix has taught us that challenges are bad and they're wrong. And we have somewhat figured out that, okay, maybe that's not always true. A lot of times our challenges do make us stronger. But in Taya, we expand way beyond that into all challenges make us stronger. All challenges exist as our own creation to make us a more sophisticated version of ourselves eternally, meaning our source being, our eternal being, that energy that powers us, that creates us, that is source. And the only separation from that is ego. And the ego is there to create that separation by design. So the ego is not something that we're diminishing. The ego is not something that we're eradicating. The ego is not something that we're demonizing. We're not saying that the ego is bad and we have to get rid of it. The way that we get rid of our ego is to end our human experience. And we're not about that. Our human experience will end when it ends. Our human experience will end when we're aligned with our departure from this environment back to our eternal state of being, certainly. But we can absolutely get our ego and our source being back into the alignment that was originally designed, because humanity has created this period where source has been diminished and ego has sort of taken over, is in the driver's seat of the human experience now, as we can all tell. You don't have to look very far to see plenty of evidence of that. And that collective ego, that matrix, that ego that resides within us, that part of us that runs on fear and judgment, we know what that is. We're going to talk about that even more today. As we tamp that down and detune that and kind of put ego back in its place, if you will. I love that way of thinking. Let's put ego in its place. Ego should be over here serving us to discern preferences when we're up our spiral and to create some obstacles via fear and judgment on a lesser and lesser degree when we're down. And the more we detune that ego, the less and less of that we're actually doing. And the more we detune ego, the more that source being gets to step forward in our reality. And the more we're moving through life as a being of source. And as we move through life as a being of source, we come to understand that moving through life as a being of source is not about delivering or experiencing this euphoric perfection where you want nothing. You're still going to create a scenario for yourself where you're going to be brought back into 3D as long as you're in physical, and you're going to create experiences. What I created for myself last year in 2022 was I got so blissed out in my source being and so detuned of my ego. I needed to create something big to disrupt that bliss, to level me up yet again into even more source allowing. And the fire in my home did that for me. That was a facilitator of that experience that I'm now benefiting from, because now I have more source flowing, more source awareness, more source in my day-to-day life, and even less ego. It showed me yet again that there was still that vibrational dust of fear and judgment and sort of egocentric thought that were woven into that blissed out state of being. And my larger desire was to detune that even more. But in order to detune that, I needed to take myself back into the matrix, back into that 3D. The house is on fire. The dog is sick. My mother-in-law is, crossing over. All of these things that sort of happened all at once. That big combustible experience, that creation brought me to this place where I have such clarity now. I have a frog in my throat because it's cold out here yet again. And I've been drinking coffee all morning. But such incredible clarity that the stream is ever present within me now. Not a perfect being, not heading toward perfection. I'm still going to have obstacles. There's still going to be things that in 3D look imperfect, but now I'm fully immersed in the appreciation of the perfection of that, of any challenge that comes my way, of anything that goes sideways or spins out, or any of these terms that I love to use. All of those things are my creation for my expansion. And I understand that very, very well. And what that experience has done for me has really gotten me back into my passion of sharing this practice with everyone. That's why I talk about Taya all the time now. The stream is lovely. I love that aspect of me. I love sharing that wisdom. And the thing the stream is all about really is guiding all of you to your own version of that. The stream has never been about listen to us, obey us, worship us, Come and listen to us because we're going to give you all the answers to everything. They fill in a lot of blanks for us for sure, but ultimately they're saying, do these things, raise your vibration in a systematic way, and notice that when you do that, when you continually are working on raising your vibration, you are continually expanding your being while you're in physical. You're expanding your human being and you're expanding your eternal being while in physical. Coming around to understand the source perspective is always available to you, and that it is true, authentic appreciation of all that is. And learning to experience life and appreciation of all that is a magical journey. And finding yourself experiencing things that at one time may have really taken you down the spiral, if not completely destroyed you, at least for a period, and having such appreciation of them while you're experiencing them. That's the magic. That's where the real magic resides. And from there, you understand my ego exists for me to discern preferences. And when I'm no longer needing to be spiritual, we're going to talk about that a little bit. What does that even mean anymore? It means a whole lot of things to a lot of different people, certainly. And there's nothing wrong with any belief system. So there's nothing wrong with saying that I'm spiritual. But I've noticed over the years that there are people that get so blissed out in their spiritual being that they stop operating in 3D until 3D comes for them. And then they really go down their spiral when 3D comes back, and they're sort of thinking, well, wait, I've done all this spiritual work. I've been on this journey. Nothing bad is ever supposed to happen to me again because I'm a being of light. I'm a being of source. Yet here it is. Or they're in some sort of judgment. They're still in that belief system that there's some evil force that's coming for their spirituality. There's some evil force that's coming for them because they're trying to just be in the light. I see a lot of that in spirituality as well. I'm in the light. I'm a light worker. I'm a light being. I am completely in the light, but these dark forces are sometimes coming for me. Well, the dark forces are all our own creation. That's your manifestation, as everything is. And the good news about that is there's never an external dark force that is coming for you without your invitation, because it's ultimately your own creation. So the more you believe in your own well-being, the more you believe that the universe is always taking care of you, and then you see little signs from the universe when you're not in that belief system, because we're operating in polarity. So something is always going to sort of take us out of that. And when that occurs, you get these lovely little signs from the universe that you're not where you want to be vibrationally. How did that person cross my path? Why did I get this piece of mail? What is this situation all about? Oh, I'm not completely in my source being the way that I really discern a preference to be. All I need to do is go up my spiral and know that everything is going to work out, even if you've manifested an obstacle. That obstacle will ultimately work itself out, and it will ultimately serve your expansion always. So we're operating our lives now in a belief system where everything that happens for us, for our expansion, for our becoming a more sophisticated version of ourselves. And we're no longer judging or demonizing the unwanted twists and turns or the unwanted aspects of life. And as I say over and over again in here, it's very different than the Matrix. So the Matrix doesn't understand it. That's why this community is so very important, so that we can come together and share ideas and share tools and techniques and things like that that we're using to manage this new way of life that we're creating for ourselves. But what a wonderful way to live life, to be an authentic appreciation of all that is. That is your source being. Anything less than that is less than pure source. So anything less than that, I think the Abraham folks use the term wobble, and that's probably a pretty good term sometimes. Any deviation from that, you understand that polarity has moved you back into your ego a little bit, and that's okay. The ego is there to create an experience, and being okay with that and appreciating that experience is exactly what takes you right back into that source being. It's like if you make appreciation your automatic reaction to all things, you're automatically going to be returned to source every single time. And when you get returned to source, you experience the obstacle or the spin out very differently. And because you're no longer judging it, you're no longer suffering in it. This is just what is. This is what's happening. My loved one is crossing over. My pet is missing. My bank account is empty. My employment has dissolved and gone away. Whatever it is that we're experiencing, you can simply say to yourself, this is what I'm experiencing in the moment. Fear and judgment are no longer an automatic activation in these times. I know this is all going to work out, and we're all here having this temporary experience, and this is just the experience that I'm having, or the experience that someone else or something else is happening right now. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just an experience. And that is just such a wonderful, high vibrational way to move through your experiences. And you don't necessarily experience everything like that all at once. Again, all of this stuff is vibrational, it's all on a spectrum. So there's not going to be the switch that we flip and suddenly everything is like that. Every once in a while, you're going to meet an obstacle, not enjoy. You're going to meet an obstacle that's going to take you down your spiral, but you'll get better and better and better at catching yourself and realizing, well, wait a minute. The old saying that we haven't talked about in a while, but that stopgap of, is this worth going down my spiral over? Just teaching yourself to stop yourself when you start to plummet and asking yourself that question, is this worth going down my spiral over? I try to think of the things every once in a while in my life, like, okay, well, what if this happened? I never in a million years thought, well, what if the house burns down? And that happened. But what if something happened to my dog, my beloved dog, Lola? Love that little animal so much. She's so special. And I know that my time with her is limited. There will be a beginning, a middle, and an end to my physical relationship with her. But what if she were to disappear tomorrow? How would I react to that? Would it be with the grace and ease that I reacted to the fire? I don't know. I'm not looking to manifest that to test that theory, but I can still sit here and say, I don't know. Until I create the experience for myself, I don't know. And I don't need to create that experience to test it. But should that come up, that will be another milestone for me to have that experience that, okay, this is what's going on in the moment. And can I move through this with grace and ease, knowing that everything ultimately is going to work out, whatever that looks like, whatever that looks like. So we can apply that to all things. And I'm certainly one to take us up to the outer limits, because what happens in the matrix is when you start talking about intentional creation, you start talking about manifesting everything that you experience, a mind that's more steeped in the matrix will go right out to the outer limits. Well, what about this? And dance that topic out. And perhaps they're not ready to accept that, yes, they can experience that on a different level as well, but they're just not quite there yet. It takes work to get there. It takes work to get here. It takes work to get to this place where your source being is your primary driver of your operating system. That loving, expansive energy that is appreciation of all that is. And you know when you're in it. And understanding that anything less than that means that your ego is still playing a major role in your operating system. And really, the role of your ego in your operating system is to be the discerner of preference. I would like to experience that while I'm in physical as a human being on planet Earth. I really don't care about experience this other thing. Discerner of preference is what ego is all about. Source is all about appreciation of all that is and expansion through the obstacles. So when we talk about interacting with the stream, I said on a radio show yesterday, if you listen to the Twin Flame Divine Fire radio show I was on live, I told them before we went on that I don't do trans channeling anymore. I'm not necessarily saying I'm never going to do that again, but right now I do not feel compelled to go into that state to formally bring the stream in so that you all can ask questions of the stream. You can ask me any stream question that you want to ask. I can provide an answer to it. Stream is very merged with my ego these days, and I have access to them right now. It's a little different experience than me being in trance, but they're here. They're absolutely here with us, and they're flowing. And your version of that is flowing as well when you're up your spiral, when you're loving yourself, when you're joyous. And I know that there is an activation of that energy when we get together, but we can create that activation of that energy just being in each other's presence, talking about Taya, and really talking from a source perspective. We are activating that energy. And of course, you can do that without me. You can do that alone. And the value of coming and interacting with me and hearing the teachings, that's up to you. If you find value in hearing these things and pondering the thoughts and interacting with the community, which I want to encourage all of you to do more of, here in Patreon, on YouTube, other places in social media. We're kind of getting back into that a little bit. We'll get more and more into social media as we get ready to put the book out there. I do realize that I need to start, opening up some avenues to attract new people in to the practice, because we have spent a lot of time creating this, a lot of effort creating this, a lot of love went into creating this, and I want to share it with the world. So that's why I'm kind of getting back into doing all these things that I've been taking a pretty long break from now, because my intention is to share it, and to make ourselves available to anyone and everyone who is aligned with this type of mindset practice. I think it's special. I think it's unique. I don't think there's anything else out there just like it. And all of you that have participated all of these years, or if you're very new to this even, you've co-created this with us. You are part of this. You're part of this creation. All of you, especially those of you that went through the boot camp journey and continue to go through the boot camp journey, we still have people in there. That is an extraction of new thought and new ideas that help flesh this practice out. And the reason that it took so long to get the Taya book written, because I rushed into writing it to have a second book. You're told if you have a book, you got to have a second book. And I rushed into it and I realized, well, wait, it's not done yet. We need more time with this. We need more time teaching it and really getting it right. I don't want to say perfecting it, because I think it will continue to evolve, but I do feel like it's evolved now to where it's really ready for prime time. We understand how to teach it. We understand the most valuable aspects of it. We understand how different people with different belief systems coming in are going to react to it. So the stream's message all along has all been about taking what they're teaching and applying it in our lives. All of these questions about what's going on in other worlds and our eternal state of being, and aliens and their thoughts on every single subject you could ever imagine asking about, that really moves more into the category of entertainment for me. I think it's entertaining to be with a trance channel and hear from source and expand your consciousness, but still it's more of an entertainment experience. You're drawn into it. You like having the experience. There's nothing wrong with any of that, certainly. But I want to be about teaching. If I'm going to put my time into this, I want my time to be, that's great. This is what they've told us. We know the answers to the questions, and any new questions that arise, I can certainly deliver an answer from stream or guide you how to get your own answer. But here are the teachings. And here is a mindset practice with 4 pillars that you learn how to perform in your life that lead you deeper and deeper and deeper into your own channeling, your own source, your own truth. Because that's where the magic of the experience really resides. It's great to get together. It's great to have this venue to do these live interactions. It's great to do a Zoom with all of you and bring the stream in and do all of that stuff. It's great to get together in physical person. I want to do workshops. I want to get out there and meet physically for sure. But ultimately, all of the workshops, all of the teachings, the practice, the academy, everything they've delivered for us all these years has been about leading you into your own individual, unique journey into source while you're in physical. Not a return to your eternal state of being, but making more of this life experience in a physical way, because we chose to come here and be physical. So we chose to come here and experience the physical world, not to sit and meditate our lives away, not to necessarily go do, plant medicine ceremonies and take ourselves out of physical into other realms. Again, there's nothing wrong with those experiences if you're guided to do that, but that can be a very temporary portion of the physical journey. But the physical journey is really where it's at. And I don't want to discount the physical journey in favor of taking your mind beyond Earth and beyond the Earth experience, because we are there eternally. We are in that state, and it's lovely to go visit from time to time while we're in physical, but we chose to come here as physically manifested beings to move through linear time in a physical way and expand our being from the physical journey, period. So here we are. What are we doing with it? What are we doing with our minds and our mindset to allow more of that source energy to be our state of being? And the reason that this is so valuable right now, and the reason the stream is flowing the way that they have been through me for the last several years, is because Earth is in a time of transition. We all know it. We see it in weather, we see it in phenomenon, we see it in humanity's reaction to all of the technology that humanity created. And that's really what is creating all of this. Humanity is starting to crack the code of creation and understand the technology that creates us. And we're creating technology in the shadow of that, very much like the technology that creates us. So we're becoming so intelligent that we are creating a path out of the matrix, if you will, for those that are really ready for it. Most are not. Most are somewhere else on their journey where they're going deeper into the matrix with this. You have two choices. You start to understand creation and you allow your faith, meaning you allow your belief in that which has not yet been proven, to take you into the space of expansion into consciousness, where you look back and realize, I believed, I had faith in something that was not yet proven, and now I have proven it to myself. That's what faith really is. If you're authentically proving it to yourself, it's still valuable to have that confirmation. What do you think angel numbers are? All of these little signs that we get that we're in alignment. When we're up our spiral, we see the numbers lining up. We have these more serendipitous interactions. People treat us differently. The world treats us differently. Problems get solved with ease if they pop up at all. We know when we're in that high vibrational alignment. Yet there is zero scientific evidence of that. There's certain things that science has not yet figured out how to prove, and perhaps never will, that we are choosing in our belief system to believe in. But the reality is that everyone operates in a belief system. So everyone has a set of beliefs that is their operating system that they are choosing, and they're choosing this path. Even if they think they're choosing the path of science or logic, they're still creating a belief system within that framework, and they're operating their lives as such. We are choosing this path of more source, of tamed ego, and appreciation of all that is as a way of living life, and noticing that life is very, very different when we do that. So this is our chosen path. This is our chosen belief system. And it is all about activating our own inner being, our own source, being our own channel, understanding that the answers to everything reside within us, because the entire universe resides within us. It is not something that's out there. It's in here, always. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a fantastic day, fantastic week whenever you're watching this. And we will be back Wednesday for Taya Talk. Thanks for watching Sunday Soul Food. Bye now.